switch to the southwest of Brisbane, this beautiful part of the world. And after quite a lot of rain overnight, the showers have cleared for the time being, and conditions are good and quite humid as the temperature ramps up. And there's lots of standing water around this place. But as we saw in First Focus Radical, this racetrack is now properly quick. So it will be slick Pirelli tyre conditions as we count down to Monochrome GT4 Australia, the third round of the championship. Thomas Randall's alongside me. This track's getting quicker and quicker as the day goes on. It's a continually moving target, isn't it?
It is.
To see where the grip levels are. So 2 short sessions, one for pros and one for AMs, and we're looking forward to seeing how this plays out.
It's going to be interesting, as it has been so far this morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning again. Richard Crail, as we have our lovely track map of Queensland Raceway, known as the Paperclip. 6 corners and quite a few braking zones here, and it might look simple on paper, but it is far from it. There's plenty of bumps, different style of corners. You've got high speed sector 1, turns 1 and 2, and then hard braking at turn 3, 4, and turn 6. And there's a lot of different lines that people do around here, especially when it's challenging conditions.
Let's have a closer look at Queensland Raceway. Our chauffeur for this is Marcus Liddell.
Hey guys, Marcus Liddell here. Welcome to Queensland Raceway. Beautiful one day and raining the next. A little bit damp into turn 1, back to third gear here. The car's very on edge in the wet. A little bit drying out there, but really working hard at the wheel. A little bit of a dab of brakes into 2, just get the car settled, and it's all about trying to get power to the ground for the long back straight. Car's moving around a lot, as you can see. Up through the gears, back straight's very long here. Get a little bit of a break, check the mirrors, see how things are going. Check the weather, still no good. 150 board on the brakes, about 1200 PSI pedal pressure, back to second gear. Kind of nurse the car in, and then it's all throttle from here. These cars are great with both traction control in longitude and latitude. Back up, headed into turn 4, up through the gears. This is fourth gear, on the brakes, back to second. You can see the car walk around on the change of surface. Second gear through here, it's really tiptoey through here. You really can't use the curbs at all at Queensland Raceway in the wet. They're just so slippery. Back down for turn 6, looking for the 100 board over on the right-hand side. Nice and late, firm on the brakes. Again, 1300 PSI pedal pressure, back to second gear, get the car rotated early, and then start feeding all that Mustang power down in the wet, try and get it back out. And that's a lap of Queensland Raceway, guys. Hope you enjoy it.
I really did, and aided by the howl of the Coyote engine under that long front bonnet of the big Ford Mustang. And it's been great to have Marcus Liddell in the championship this year, former Super 2 racer back in the day, very experienced guy, and that's been a really good combination to have as the Ford Mustangs continue to gain strength in this category. So much as we saw with GT World Challenge Australia powered by AWS qualifying earlier today, there are 2 parts to qualifying in Monochrome GT4, qualifying 1 and qualifying 2. One sets the grid for race 2, the other one sets the grid for race 1, and it has been hugely competitive. Thomas, and 28 cars once again on the grid this weekend.
Yeah, it's an incredible field. They've averaged that sort of 28 to 30 car fields throughout the course of the season. So this category has just been on a rapid rise, and we've got so many different manufacturers, from Mercedes, Audis, Porsches, McLarens, Fords, Ginettas, Toyotas. We've got the Supras in the field as well, and we've got some BMWs. So a great mix of manufacturers here this weekend and so far for the Monochrome GT4 Australia Series. And like you pointed out with qualifying, so driver 1, so qualifying 1, they'll participate in this session and they will start race 1. Driver 2 will participate in qualifying session 2 and start race 2. So it's no longer wet, but if it was, wet tyres are free in terms of how many sets you can use. There's no limit on wet weather tyres, but for this weekend, you're allowed 2 new sets of dry tyres and 1 carryover. So now all these cars would be on dry tyres now, because we saw last session out for the First Focus Radical Cup Australia Series, they started on the wets and went to the slicks. So I would say it's just going to be about seeing who can get that lap down as the track just gets better and better. Rusty?
Tom, as one of the last cars in the queue left the lane, I had a good look at the Tim Lay, Cody Bircher BMW. So what do they often say in the States? Sticker of tires on that car as it left the lane. But the thing that I'd kind of like your assistance on here, Tom, just for the audience, the emphasis on braking heavily and putting the weight on the nose, then coming off it, getting back on the throttle and seesawing like that, and getting that sort of temperature in that manner was something that car was focusing on as it left the lane and went through turn one for the first time.
Yeah, thanks, Rusty. You make a good point there. These Pirelli tyres, you need to be able to warm them up in such a way that you're not taking, I guess, the side bite out of them, but you're getting them up to temperature, so we can still see pretty much everyone weaving, trying to get that lateral G into the tyres to warm them up, and a lot of straight braking like you touched on. The reason that they want to do that is because the brakes get super hot and that heat just radiates through the rotors, through the calipers, into the rim, which makes its way into the tyre. And if you can get that tyre temperature up without taking too much rubber out of the tyre, that's where you can really use the grip. And when you've got 11.5 minutes remaining, it's a shorter session than what we just saw with the Radicals. So these are two 15-minute sessions for the drivers. It's going to be about that balance of, hey, how much temperature do I want in this tyre, and when do I want the grip? I don't want it right now, Crailsy. I want it when the track's at its optimum.
And there's a very realistic chance this could be the closest qualifying session of the year so far. 6 corners at QR. It's always ferociously tight. The margins are tiny at this venue, so we're looking forward to that. In the silver class, 2 pole positions, 1 apiece actually for the number 25 Method Motorsport McLaren, so 1 each to Tom Heyman and Maxi Gagan so far this year. Ryland Gray has a pole position in the Ford Mustang, and Jared Hughes grabbed one last time out for 888 in the Mercedes AMG as Blake Purdy goes quickest, but beaten immediately by Heyman in the Method Motorsport McLaren. In silver AM class, 3 pole positions this year for Aaron Seaton and Jason Gomersall. They lead that championship too. They have been strong. Dean Campbell and Cameron Crick have grabbed 1 pole in their debut season in that category. And in the AM class, she's been wide open there. A couple of Porsches have been good. Shane Smolin with a pole. Chris Lillis and Nathan Callahan have had a pole position. Jamie Augustine's had a pole there as well. So it's been wide open in the AM class in GT4. 3 categories, and we'll bring you up to speed with those. Right now it's Mercedes AMG with Jared Hughes on top, and hard to forget the scenes at Sydney Motorsport Park last time out. He and Summer Rintoul on her birthday, the big 18, and got the podium. 2nd place in that opening race under lights on Saturday night. An emotional moment for them after a really tough start to the championship at Phillip Island. They bounced back superbly and working their way back into championship calculations as we get towards the middle point of the season. So it's a good story, but there's plenty of good stories up and down this field. This should be a good lap from Heyman. Some improvement here for the Method Motorsport McLaren Artura. Turbocharged V6 power, and actually no improvement. Heyman does improve. Zach Suter goes to 2nd into the 14s. Nathan Callahan to 3rd place in the Porsche he shares with Chris Lillis. Times tumbling. Jared Hughes still quickest at a 1 minute 14.3.
And Hughes looks like he will go on to better his time at the moment, and he has with the 1:13.9. Now, a really good dry time is about a mid-12. So we're a little bit away from that now. There's still 9 minutes remaining, so the track's only going to get better. Tyres are still going to be coming up to temperature, but I've got to say, Lockie Beneath, that first sector, he's got the fastest time, so that Ginetta certainly suiting that style of the track, you know, that higher speed area. And remember, these guys, they haven't really had any dry running so far this weekend, a lot like pretty much every other category, because yesterday was tricky, damp, super wet by the end of the day, about 3 o'clock onwards. And it was the Jared Hughes Summer Rintoul Mercedes that was fastest in pre-qualifying in slightly damp conditions. So that car certainly the one to beat at the moment, as they are still on the provisional pole with a 1:13.9 as Aaron Cameron on his debut in the GT4 Australia Series. He's in the silver AM class. He's gone up in 3rd position as Zach Suter now on the front row, also in the silver AM class.
And Hughes going on with it again as Aaron Seaton goes fastest. A lot of laps at this venue for Aaron. 1 minute 13.8. Hughes beats him. That's the 888 Mercedes AMG turning in now the pink and blue highlights flashing across. There's the D.A. Campbell transport car, Cameron Crick behind the wheel. It's one of the Money Me Mercedes AMG GT4s. So this is Aaron Cameron. Great to have this guy in the championship in the multi-spares racing Ford Mustang, sharing with Ryan Hansford. And Cameron goes 5th at a 1 minute 14.2.
And Ryland Gray's jumped up into 3rd position as well while that all happened. So the Fords are doing a cracking job at the moment. And that Ryland Gray Mediki car was the Sunday winner here last year. So we know that car has got some good pace around here as well.
That was the 3-hour enduro race that kicked off at about
7:35
in the morning. Yeah, there was a lot of coffee consumed while that was going on. I think it was on coffee making duties that morning. It was a very, very good race though, and there was that big battle between the two Method Motorsport McLarens. So Gray is on a lap in the Lubramax Ford. Hughes still going on with it. Here's the Ginetta with Lockie Mineef looking to complete another lap. Rusty?
Just the second of the Money Me Mercs has come in, Crailsy, and you might notice at the front here, they are actually on the wet weather Pirelli, but they've got a fresh set of slick tyres about to go on. So second of those Mercedes entries coming in now for the tyre change.
Yeah, Mark Griffith down in 26th place and 6.5 seconds off the pace. So wet tyres definitely not the option now. Ryland Gray goes to second. Bang, as he turns the big Mustang into turn 1. So that's a very good lap. Silver Am still being led by Aaron Cameron, who's in 3rd outright, then Tom Heyman 4th and 3rd in the silver class. Am class leader was the man who gave us the tour at the start of the session, Marcus Liddell. He's 13th position in his Ford Mustang.
He's just jumped up to 11th there, and I was just going to make the point, Crailsy, that they're starting to all get a bit more brave now with using the exit curbs. So I saw Ryland Gray on the exit of turn 1, had the car right over those exit curbs, which they generally like to stay pretty wet, and I think they're starting to dry up now. So drivers starting to get a little bit more confident with using painted lines, exit curbs, as the times keep tumbling down. They're about a second away from a proper dry lap time, and that's probably come from being able to use the whole track width and some.
Tom Heyman goes to second, misses out on the top spot by 0.05 of a second. Daniel Frugas is in the final sector. He's in the Toyota Supra GT4 for Garth Walden Racing and goes to 3rd and top of the Silver Am class. Really good lap. He shares that car with Tim Berryman. It's a good combination. First of the Supras into Australia this year. There's 2 of them in the championship now. They've had a pretty solid start to their season for GWR Australia. A couple of 3rds in qualifying. They had a race win at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit in the Silver Am class, so they're in pretty good shape. Blake Purdy now going on with it in the Nippies Audi. He's down in 7th position. But the margins, we talked about how close it would be. 1 second covering 15 cars, and it's only going to get closer as this track gets better and better.
Yeah, and that includes Liddell in that AM class. He's on provisional pole in the AM class at the moment, and the top 7 cars are separated by 0.2 of a second. So with just under 4.5 minutes remaining here, you've got Jared Hughes on top from Tom Heyman. Actually, I should change that because Aaron Seaton has just gone to second by 0.03 of a second off Jared Hughes. So that's incredibly close, and it's a further 18 thousandths behind is Tom Heyman. So if you're Heyman and they say to you, hey, you're less than 0.5 tenth off pole and you're 3rd, you're thinking, bloody hell, I need to find a little bit more time as Ryland Gray's entered the lane. Now, whether that's tyre pressures, he's leaving it late because there is only, 3 minutes and 45 seconds remaining on the clock. I can't say that he's done because the track you'd think is going to get quicker and quicker, and Purdy's just proved that. He's gone faster in the middle sector as bleeding of the pressures on the Cameron Crick car, which is struggling a little bit, actually, Crailsy. He's down in 13th place.
Amazing to say he's struggling and he's 7/10 of a second off. Aaron Seaton going on with it now. He's up to the 1st and 2nd sectors. You talked about the fact he only needs to find 0.031. Well, it's 0.5 now because Blake Purdy's gone quickest in the Audi. 1 minute 13.5, but Seaton is on course to beat him with this lap. So he drives the Mustang to the line, all of that forward horsepower, and Seaton improves, but he doesn't improve his position. He stays 3rd, and he's now 0.04 away. We've got a McLaren stranded. That's Paul Morris. on the run between turn 1 and turn 2. That car has, is it going or is it not? That could kill the session.
I was just going to say, Seaton was 0.05 off pole, and he improved me 0.04 off pole.
So it's an improvement. Positive, it's an improvement. Frugas improved, lost a spot, believe it. He's 5th, and he's less than a 10th from pole position.
Super tight margins here.
And 5 brands, Thomas, in the top 5 outright positions. Aaron Seaton still on pole in silver AM. Those class battles, so important in Monochrome GT4. Daniel Frugas 2nd, Marcus Liddell on top in the AM class, 14th outright in front of Nathan Callahan, who's 15th outright and 2nd in the AM class in the Porsche Cayman.
Now, he must have got that car running because we're still under green conditions here. And one car we haven't talked about much is the 210 Porsche of Nash Morris. So they're down in 28th position. So I'm not sure, there must be some sort of issue there because I don't think they've actually logged a lap time, but he is on the track.
And that's a car that is in 4th position in the Silver Championship after a really good performance by Nash and Zoe Woods for TechWorks. Blake Purdy, he's found an enormous amount of time on provisional pole in this Audi. He's now 0.07 in front.
Massive margin.
He's found 0.03 of a second, and he is currently on provisional pole. This was a brand new car to the championship this year. It's the first time we've seen an Audi GT4 car in Monochrome GT4 Australia. And it's been a very competitive outing so far with he and his old buddy Daniel Price driving along. Daniel's a gun carter and he's been super quick, so the number 8 car is up and running. So Morris back on the racetrack, and now buried in the gravel trap is the number 17 car of Bailey Love. The AMG is stuck, and that'll end it. Red flag flies.
I was just going to say, Crailsy, we saw Ryland Gray enter the pits 3 minutes ago, and they must have thought that that was all that they could get out of the Ford Mustang. So this probably benefits them slightly not to lose any more positions, but they're down in, well, their 6th position and 2.5 tenths off pole.
How close is it? And the variety at the pointy end: Audi, Mercedes AMG, Ford, McLaren, Toyota in the top 5 positions. And then you go back a little bit further, find the Ginetta of Lockie Manif in 11th position. The first Porsche down in 15th place with Nathan Callahan, and Nash Morris not showing on our timing screen. 28th, right at the back of the field.
Yep.
Here's the times. What a qualifying session, and there's still another one to come, believe it or not. So 0.8 of a second, covering 14 cars and almost all of the different manufacturers involved in Monochrome GT4 Australia. But it's a pole position for the Purdy Racing Nippies car, the first of their season, the 4th different silver class pole winner of the year so far. So that is a huge job for the Audi team. Well done. Jared Hughes on the front row. He and Summer Rintoul look really strong ahead of today, and Aaron Seaton 3rd. He and Jason Gomersell, a good bet for the silver AM class. AM class pole went the way of Marcus Liddell in 14th, and Nathan Callahan just behind, a couple of tenths in the Porsche. So here's how the highlights played out in qualifying 1 for Monochrome GT4 Australia. Ferociously close, and the closest quali session we've seen so far in the brief history of this category in Australia.
Yeah, top 7 cars covered by less than 2.5 tenths, with Aaron Cameron on his debut rounding out the top 7. And Blake Purdy, we know how fast that car is because they had an incredible round at Phillip Island, which opened the series this year, as Aaron Seaton also did a cracking job, less than a tenth off pole position, and 3rd place overall, and 1st in silver AM class, as Paul Morris pulled over briefly in that McLaren entry, and then it was Bailey Love that obviously had a moment there in turn 2, must have, I'd say, dropped a wheel, lost the rear, and it's challenging to get out of those gravel traps around here, Crailsy.
Yeah, it really is. So 4th pole position in the silver AM class for Aaron Seaton and Jason Gomersell, which is good stuff. How good is that? That's a future GT4. It's a Mercedes AMG, I reckon. So
now that's how you get out of a gravel trap.
Correct. That's a Mercedes AMG factory driver. And 2nd pole of the year for Marcus Liddell in the AM class. Rusty?
Just down with Nash Morris, I know you guys question marked in the commentary what may or may not be happening, but this TechWorks team have been working enormously hard here. I gather there's been like an engine change and a gearbox change in the past 24 hours, and even in the kind of recalibration of things, it's not quite right. Is that correct?
Yeah, we did a bit of an install lap. They gave us permission to do that this morning and everything was okay. Then there's a little drama this morning doing another recal, so I think we would have put a time down. I don't think I would have been on pole, but we got out there and unfortunately there's a red flag, so.
Good luck, mate.
Thank you.
So confirming gearbox issues for the 210 for TechWorks. What a shame. Nash and Zoe will pass some cars in race 1 later this afternoon, 28th on the grid. Qualifying 1 done, qualifying 2 coming your way. In the meantime, there's great pathways on offer for drivers coming through the GT racing system, so we thought we'd put that to the test and talk to some of the young stars coming up in Australian GT racing.
What drew me to GT racing is it's a global format, so it's pretty cool to see a lot of numbers here in Australia.
The endurance racing aspect has always been super cool, something I've always wanted to tick off, and something I find really interesting. You've got plenty of cool cars and manufacturers in the series as well. The category has a lot to offer, and
being able to travel worldwide with this category is something that I strive for, and being a part of the GT category here in Australia, it's been amazing so far. I've recently been signed with Aston Martin Racing in terms of their junior driver academy. Really excited to be a part of it. For me, it's something that I strive to be a factory driver one day, and this is just another step in my journey to there.
For a long time in my career, I've looked to join the GT racing sphere around the world. It's an incredible category with huge history. You've only got to look at such iconic races, Le Mans 24 hours, Spa 24 hour, those huge bucket list items.
GT racing for me, originally it's what I actually always wanted to get involved into in development categories. Got the opportunity to jump into a GT3 with Valente Rosso in midway through 2023. Jumped across to Tigani Motorsport in 2024 and actually managed by the end of 2024 to sign a junior Mercedes AMG contract deal with AMG Motorsport.
My link with Ford has expanded over 2 years now, so it's pretty cool to be in the Ford Performance family and racing under their bracket. So racing in the GT4 series under their name is super cool. So I am a Ford guy and I have been my entire life, so it's good to race under them. Racing GT4 this year, I want to eventually get into GT3. That's sort of the path you want to go with the GT4 stuff. So going overseas and doing tracks like Spa, Nürburgring are pretty much a dream that I want to achieve.
Yeah, so the link with the BMW Academy over in Germany happened. Was quite fortunate. I got an email and a call if I wanted to attend the BMW Motorsport Academy over in Germany, which was really, really cool. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and experience that, I definitely didn't take for granted.
My goal for the program is to become a factory driver. At the end of the day, it's something that everyone strives for, and to be able to have the opportunity now to get myself in front of the Aston people and the whole team to get around me, and that's, if I can get there and travel the world racing, it's what every race car driver wants to do.
So to link with such an iconic brand in Mercedes AMG is an awesome experience for any driver, and for me it's super special. Obviously an iconic brand that you grow up watching. It's obviously given me a massive leg in my career to get overseas and see all sorts of different tracks, series. Keeping myself busy, I did 6 race weekends in a row not long ago across all sorts of continents and cars, and super busy, but loving my racing at the moment, keeping super busy and not being home much, which for a race car driver is actually probably quite enjoyable.
It was such a huge opportunity for me in my career to be able to join with Shane Smallman last year in the #1 Porsche GT4 RS Club Sport. And a huge icing on the cake for that was to join the Porsche Motorsport Awards at the end of last year in Stuttgart in Germany. To be able to share the room with such a esteemed company. You think of people like Matt Campbell, obviously an Australian that's done incredibly well in GT racing around the world.
Having the brand involvement in the GT4 series is really good. It gives young guys a shot at going overseas, and it gets them involved with the brand. So it's good to build a connection with them to eventually go overseas.
Yeah, so the GT4 category here in Australia and even GT3 is extremely competitive. When you've got, I guess it just shows the level of drivers that come from Australia. Like you got, 20 young drivers that are all trying to make a career out of it in some way. A lot of them are in GT4, which is a great opportunity for everyone. Look, if you can put your best foot forward on the right day and continue to do so, there's definitely people watching. It adds to the value, and it's very cool to know that's happening as well.
What we have in Australia is amazing in terms of tracks. Phillip Island, you got Bathurst, which is just iconic. Everyone wants to race there. For me, it also opens up the opportunity to go overseas and race on some of the circuits that I have dreamt of racing on, like Spa and the Green Hell as well. So we have the capability to hopefully get over there, and from the tracks that we have here in Australia, it just sets us up for that, especially with Phillip Island. being so fast and flowing, it really helps for places like Spa, Le Mans, Suzuka, all those type of really cool places. So I think it's a great platform to be a part of, and I'm really excited to see where it goes.
In the second part, if you will, of Monochrome Australia GT4 qualifying, but it's a pretty happy Blake Purdy after the first kind of instalment. And you were saying to me when you got out of the car that it just felt like things kept improving, is that right?
Yeah, it was honestly just like an FP1 session because both practices yesterday were wet, so it was just a matter of learning the track as fast as I could. But yeah, eventually set a good time, and it's good enough for pole, really.
This class at the moment, there's so much energy around it, so competitive. On balance, your year's been pretty solid with this outfit. It must feel good to do that here at QR.
Yeah, it was really good at Phillip Island. Took the win there, but struggled a bit at Sydney. But it's good to be back at the front again. It's a really good feeling, actually.
What was the final words before we set off? You've had a good chat before we've conducted this interview.
Just trying to minimise his track learning time with what I learnt. So yeah, I won't tell you too much, but
right, a smile says it all. Nice work.
Thank you. Cheers.
I've got to say, Crailsy, he'd be pretty stoked with that, grabbing pole position, and that will be for today's race. So yeah, great chat there, and it's like being a pioneer when you go out on a track that's dry and you've done all your running the day before and it's been wet. So like he said, he's just continuously learning and trying to find more time out there. As a few fans around the racetrack, we saw the young fella in the Mercedes AMG with the factory drive on the mound.
I've just seen 888 race engineering boss Jamie Whincup going down with a contract. So they're the AMG distributor in Australia for their GT program. So 888 will lock him away, no doubt. Yeah, great attendance here. And this is such a good place to come and visit now. It's a really well-appointed venue, great viewing as it's always been here. But this new pit building complex that's only recently been expanded, new garages between the control tower and the existing garages halfway down the lane. It looks spectacular, really well presented. There they are, the brand new pit building that's been built here at Queensland Raceway. And behind it, you can see new garages have popped up. The amenities are really good, very good cafe as well, a coffee shop. So it's a good place to go racing and deserving of this great motor racing state that is Queensland with so much great heritage up here. And we're looking forward to qualifying 2 for Monochrome GT4 Australia. So the cars get released to pit exit, and this session will start very shortly for qualifying 2, which will be the AM drivers.
Now, I think we're going to see a lot of cars on fresh rubber here because you're allowed 2 sets of new tyres, and there were no tyre changes in terms of 2 slick tyre sets in the first part of qualifying. As I was walking back into the booth between the sessions, I saw a few cars going to that second set. So we'll keep an eye out on that as the track is in very good condition now. It's still a bit damp offline, but we saw some pretty decent times that aren't far away from a fully dry time. And the track's only going to probably slightly improve further as a bit of fuel burn as well. These cars will be slightly lighter than they were about 15 minutes ago as the field all exit out onto the track. And this is going to be an interesting one because this will set the grid for tomorrow's race.
And the idea in these races are to get your car as consistently at the front between your pro driver and your AM driver, your faster driver and perhaps you're not quite as quick a driver. The further up you can start in both races sort of levels the playing field a bit in the way these race out. And in a way, you kind of need to think of these races, they're 2 one-hour races, but really it's a 2-hour race with a big pit stop overnight. In the way that they play out. One driver starts race 1, finishes race 2. The other driver finishes race 1, starts race 2. So the strategy plays out and you get this big ebb and flow across the weekend in Monochrome GT4 Australia, perhaps even more so than you do in GT World in the Big Banger GT3 cars. So this will be a fascinating session. Glenn Nerwin, the first one out in the tough lift McLaren for Zach Suter Motorsport, Geelong-based team. He's already had some success in TCR racing. They've moved across to Monochrome GT4 Australia this year. They're really well presented, really well run. Zach's dad, Shane, a 2-wheel great in Australian motorsport. And young Zach, who's a super talent, and Glenn Irwin, who's been part of this program now for a couple of seasons. So Rob Love, Jason Gomersal behind the wheel of the SS Signs Mustang that grabbed the silver AM pole in qualifying 1 with Aaron Seaton behind the wheel. Jake Camilleri's out there. Tim Berryman will take over the Toyota Supra that Daniel Frugas did such a nice job with in qualifying 1. Tony Quinn in his Toyota at his own racetrack, which is nice. Dean Campbell behind the wheel of the D.A. Campbell Transport Ford that Cameron Crick qualified in that first session. And the other one for mine, worth watching, Thomas, is Zoe Woods. We heard from Nash Morris after quali 1. Gearbox change overnight in that car. They had some sync. It's not as simple as whacking the gearbox in and putting it in first gear and driving away. There's all sorts of programming and stuff you need to get right in these modern day race cars to get them sorted. So hopefully TechWorks have got that sorted and Zoe will be good to go in this session. Let's go down to pit lane. Here's Cameron van der Duggen.
I thought early on in this qualifying session, Krause, you'd be good to cap a couple of other pole sitters. And Silver Am from that first session, Aaron Seaton, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. The Ford Mustang from Gomerson Motorsport was awesome, and all our guys in our team have done an amazing job to give us a great race car for today. And thank God the track dried out for us. Definitely Mustang's a strong car in the dry. So I look forward to getting into the race and seeing how we go.
Very quickly, give us a sense of just how much the track evolved, even in that short, sharp session of qualifying.
I don't know necessarily the track evolved too much. I think it was pretty dry from the start, but just the Pirelli tyre takes a while to come up to temperature. So that's probably why we saw a lot faster times at the end, just as the temperature came up the tyre.
And last question, because we'll get back to qualifying in a second, but we saw the Mustangs go really well here at Queensland Raceway. You must carry a lot of confidence into this weekend off the back of what has been formed previously.
Yeah, definitely. It was great to see, obviously, George and Ryland do well last year here. Slightly different BOPs, but no, I look forward to the challenge of the race today and sharing with Jason Gomersall. It's hopefully a strong race for us.
Well done and good luck for the race.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Cam. Nice to see you doing some work down there. Good to hear from Aaron Seaton as fellow Queenslander Jake Camilleri goes to the top with a 1 minute 14.7. Decent lap time in the Mercedes AMG. Max Gagan second. Jason Gomersall goes to 5th. Walker on top of the AM class, 4th outright in the BMW, so that's a good performance. He's in a decent championship position in the AM class, Glenn. He is 2nd in that category, yet to get an AM class pole. So good first lap for the BMW driver. Gagan going on with it for Method Motorsport in the McLaren. And you pointed out Summer Rintoul, nice lap from the 888 Mercedes AMG. So she went to 3rd in the silver class. Now Shane Smollen pops up into the top 3 and goes to the top of the pops in the AM class in the Porsche.
Yeah, that's a nice lap from Shane Smollen, isn't it? You know, he's only a 10th away from Maxi Gagan, but Camilleri at the moment is doing a cracking job out in front. But we still have just under 10 minutes remaining as Aaron Seaton made the point that these Pirelli tyres do take a little bit of time to get up to temperature. So it's that balance of A, trying to get the tyres up to temp, put a lap down, but how late do you leave it? Because we've seen in a few qualifying sessions today, late red flags with a couple of minutes to go, and generally that's it. The sessions get declared. So if you get a lap time down, you want to sort of do it, yes, towards the end, but you want to have a nice margin when you do that as well, because there's no point leaving it super late and that risk of a red flag.
Gagan goes quicker again for Method Motorsport, was on pole for his qualifying session at Sydney Motorsport Park last time out. There's a flying lap occurring further down the field for George Miedeke. And Zoe Woods jumps up to 4th. So that answers our question about the Porsche. It's clearly okay now as Miedeke, the first into the 13s. 1 minute 13.91, 3/10 quicker than Gagan. That's a good lap time.
Yeah, 3/10 on Gagan at the moment, as there's still so many green sectors out there, and the track, well, the tyres are just getting more and more up to temp. Gagan goes fastest overall to the middle sector. And the other thing we haven't really spoken about, Crailsey, is traffic, because there's about a 6-second spread from 1st to 27th or 28th. And it's a balance of, hey, I might be on a lap, but am I going to catch some traffic, as it looks like George Miedeke is about to do here. He's got a few cars in front of him, and he might either have to try and get past those cars or build a gap, which I think is what he's trying to do. And in the meantime, Maxi Gagan has now swapped positions with Miedeke and gone to the top with a 1:13.6, 2/10 of a second clear.
Another good performance from Lockie Hennock, the teammate in the second of the 2 Method Motorsport cars. Teenager, he's gone to 4th position in his first full year of national level GT competition. So Gagan, Mediki, Camilleri and Hennock the top 4, and in silver class, Chris Lillis currently on pole in AM and 5th outright in front of Jacob Lawrence. Daniel Price is 7th, Summer-Rintal 8th, Jamie Aratoon in 9th place, and Zoe Woods in 10th in the TechWorks Porsche. But there's still 7.5 minutes to go, so this is all going to change.
Absolutely, and Shane Smollen's just gone 3rd overall, 1st in AM class at the moment with a 1:14.6, so he's about a second away. So the times at the moment aren't as close as they were in the first qualifying session. Jacob Lawrence, like you touched on, he's 3rd in the AM class, and now they had plenty of pace at Sydney Motorsport Park, but a few pit stop penalties or pit stop infringements really cost them dearly at Sydney Motorsport Park, so they're going to want to make sure they're on top of that this weekend.
Jake Camilleri in pit lane in the Mercedes AMG, hometown hero, car dealer from this part of the world, the Grand Prix group up in Brisbane and the northern suburbs especially, but they're big in this part of the world. So Camilleri in. I bumped into Tim Miles after GT World Challenge qualifying, Thomas, and they took the strategy in his qualifying session to bleed tyres that you called and were right about, so well done on that, by the way. But he said it was absolutely the right way to go. It was the right decision. He didn't execute his final push lap as well, probably cost him a shot at pole. But it seems like it's a good strategy, is to run, get into the lane, bleed the pressures, go again. But putting a new set of tyres on, not enough time in these sessions given how long it takes for these Pirellis to get up to temperature and pressure.
And just on that as well, doing that and coming into bleed, A, is going to be a gain, but you just got to be careful of those red flags. Cameron?
Yeah, guys, I thought I'd grab pole sitter from the AM class, first part of qualifying, Marcus Liddell. Congratulations.
Thank you, mate. Look, it's great to be here, great to be in the class. Really proud of everyone at 99 Motorsport with what we're doing with the Toyota program and then bringing GT4 on. It's a big effort, but we're here, we're going okay, and first laps at Queensland Raceway in 20 odd years, so it still goes the same way, so we're all right.
Mate, last year, the AM class, I think, put on the best battle of GT4 here at Queensland Raceway. Big shoes to fill. You got confidence going into the racing later on this weekend?
I do, mate. Jared, my teammate's doing a great job, the car owner. He's mega. He's only about a second off me, which is exactly where I need him to be. Hopefully we can put on a great show like last year. The Mustang's proven to be very, very good on these big straights. So, yeah, look forward to tomorrow and can't wait to get out there.
Well done. Good luck.
Mate, appreciate it, mate. Thank you.
Thanks, Cameron. Nice work. Jared Kite behind the wheel of the 99 Motorsport Mustang at the moment, 17th outright, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the AM class right now. So he qualified 6th for the last race, actually, at Sydney Motorsport Park, which was their debut in the category. Great to have them as part of it. And, gee, Marcus Liddell flushes you back to the early days of the Super 2 Championship in an AU Ford Falcon. Pounding around Queensland Raceway. My Ford driving co-driver here is wistfully looking backwards to that as we watch the tough lift McLaren with Glenn Nerwin behind the wheel, cutting some laps at the moment, looking to improve. No movement on the timing screen just yet. A little bit of a pause in the session. Mediki's in the lane.
I think they just did pressures because he's heading straight back at him. And Maxi Gagan was on a lap on that last fly, but he just got a bit of traffic, so pulled out of the way, and he did about a 1 minute 22 second lap there just to get a bit of clear air. That's one thing we mentioned earlier, was about that battle of trying not to get any traffic on your lap, which is so tricky. When you've got 28 cars around here on a 60 or 70 second lap, you know, it's only like an average of about 2.5 seconds, not even, between cars, and it's not really the case. They always just end up bunching up together, don't they?
You might be wondering at home, why aren't they waving blue flags? Well, they are. They waved it at the start-finish line here on the control tower. And one of our great Motorsport Australia volunteers has just been waving that since the start of the session. And he'll just keep waving it until he has to swap for the checkered flag in 3.5 minutes' time, because such is the traffic. Gagan on another lap. He's improving. But again, a little bit of traffic in the middle. It's such a cool drone shot for turn 4 and turn 5. Turn 5, deceptively fast corner at this place.
It is, and sometimes you forget how tight it is, but it's so fast for how tight it actually is. And there's a lot of categories here that you don't even break through there. So it's only a small lifters. The Mediki car's entering the lane. Oh, sorry, not the Mediki car. That is the
That was the 99.
Number 21 of Kate.
Yep, Jared Kite, 99 Motorsport.
Sorry. So, but we did see Mediki in the lane briefly doing pressures. So keep an eye out for the number 35 Ford Mustang, whether or not bleeding those pressures will help. So we're under 3 minutes now remaining in this session. Maxi Gagan on top with a 1:13.6 second, and he has a whopping margin over second place of 48 1/1000ths of a second. So there's a little bit of a gap back to Shane Smolin, who's still third outright and first in the AM class with that 1:14.3. So that's a cracking job. Jacob Lawrence, he's jumped up into fourth position. He's just come into the lane. Then we have Fake Camilleri, Lachlan Hennock in the sister McLaren, rounding out the top six. Chris Lewis, Tim Lay, Tim Berryman, and Jason Gomersall rounding out the top 10.
So there's some drivers we're looking for a little bit more from in this session. One of them will be Summer Rintoul, who's 11th at the moment in the silver class Mercedes AMG at a 1:14.9. Be expecting to be a little bit further up. Looking to see what Ryan Hansford can do with one lap in the multi-spares racing car. I talked to him about it. George is about to start a lap, by the way, here in the Lubramax car. He just worked this lap on getting some clear racetrack. I bumped into Ryan, who's as quietly spoken and laconic as he always has been, but he said, it's a little bit different to the Touring Car Masters Tirana. He said, these driving aids, what a novel concept. Traction control, ABS, it makes it easy. He's looking forward to developing in the multi-spares car. 13th place at the moment, third in Silver Am. But let's follow George Miedeke around. Currently second. He's got to find 0.5 of a second to grab a pole position, and another one for this car this year. The car that was in great form at this venue 12 months ago. Gagan, Miedeke, Smolin, Mercedes, Ford, Porsche, BMW, the top 4 positions. Once again, this incredible brand mix in GT4 this year. And they're all so evenly matched.
Yeah, he grabbed a bit of curb there at turn 3, so plenty of rotation from the number 35 Ford Mustang. Now, for some reason, it didn't get his first sector time, so he's clearly lapping around the track. So we'll just have to keep an eye on what's happening there, as it looks like he's actually rolled out of the lap. So yeah, that middle sector just popped up and he's down on that. So he will get, there is time for one more lap here for him. There's about 30 seconds remaining on the clock. So yeah, at the moment, Gagan on top, Miedeke second, Shane Smolin still third overall. Jacob Lawrence, I think he's called it. He's in the lane. So is Lachlan Hennock. Jason Gomersall, Kite in the lane. Tony Quinn, Campbell. And that's a real struggle for that car because they're down in 26th position. So it's been a very challenging, both qualifying sessions for them this morning.
Daniel Price comes up from 14th to 5th and third in silver in the Audi.
That's important.
Yeah, remember we talked about the fact that you want your two drivers to be as even as you can. Well, that's very much the case for the Purdy Motorsport Nippies car as the checkered flag flies on qualifying right at the end of the session. Another improver, we were just talking about it, Ryan Hansford goes to the top of Silver Am, 10th outright, but that's pole for the class. Class wins mean more in GT4 than perhaps anything else. Maxi Gagan, meanwhile, we're watching the Method Motorsport car going on with it. Across the first 2 sectors, he has improved. He's currently got 0.048 of a second over George Miedeke, who's not showing any signs of improving. Does Gagan bank one more flyer right at the end of the session? He does. 1:13.45. He pulls a comfortable 0.2 of a second now over Miedeke, and will lock in another pole position this year for Method Motorsport. Good lap at the end for Max Gagan, who got a pole position at Sydney Motorsport Park. It's the 3rd for the car this year, and they are looking in great shape. McLaren on top again at Queensland Raceway.
And his first 2 sectors weren't actually personal bests, but combined they were purple to the middle sector, and then he found another couple of tenths in the final sector. So he's put just under 0.3 of a second margin over George Miedeke. So that's how it's going to be, and that's how we're going to line up for race number 2. These are our pole position winners in the silver class. Maxi Gagan, silver Am is Hansford, which is a cracking job. Top 10.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And Shane Smolin on pole in the AM class for the second time this year in 3 goes. So he's in really good shape. And third outright too, by the way.
Absolutely impressive.
So that's the way it lines up in qualifying too for Monochrome GT4 Australia. McLaren, Ford, Porsche, BMW, Audi. Once again, 5 different brands in the top 5. It's super impressive and super close as always here at QR. Highlights now, Monochrome GT4 Australia qualifying number 2. They're going to race for an hour later on this afternoon. You don't want to miss it. GT4 has been front of the couch material this year. Glenn Irwin was the first out of pit lane in the tough lift car. He ended up 15th place and 4th in the Silver AM class. The SS Science card, Jason Gomersal was 3rd in class at the end. Jake Camilleri, as always, pretty speedy on home turf. He ended up 8th. George Meadicke had a couple of rolls at that, never quite got the track position you felt like he needed there to grab a clear lap and get pole position, but he'll start on the outside of the front row.
Yeah, it's going to be a cracking race. Considering these guys are battling for, Tom Heyman and Maxi Gagan, they're the current championship leaders. So they're continuing where they left off pretty much, leaving Sydney Motorsport Park. And I've got to say, this afternoon's race, how tight was that first qualifying session, Crailsy?
Yeah, the race will be just the same. So our pole sitters will head down to the stop area in pit lane at Queensland Raceway, and we're looking forward to catching up with them to celebrate a great pair of qualifying sessions for Monochrome GT4 Australia. And there's the McLaren Artura. Chaz Mostert and his team continue to develop and build, and they've got 2 strong cars once again. And it was pretty combative at this venue 12 months ago in a battle between the 2 of these cars and that Lubramax Ford Mustang. But I tell you what, the depth of competition in Monochrome GT4, it's not twice as competitive as it was 12 months ago. It's 4 times as competitive. The depth in this field now is outstanding. Let's go down and get the vibe down in Victory Lane, and there's no one better to judge the vibe than Cameron Vanderdungen.
Thank you very much, Crailsy. I'm going to grab Max Gagan here. Give me one of these hats, the Pirelli Pole Award for our silver driver. I'll let you get your helmet off there, Max Gagan. Great to see a McLaren here as I make sure I don't get run over by a Porsche. We'll make sure we get this hat on you, mate. Congratulations. Pole position, silver class, McLaren, Queensland Raceway, doesn't get much better.
Mate, it's good. The car was awesome, obviously. Threatened a fair bit there. We had pole, but I knew the car had a fair bit more in it, and I wanted to show it. We had some purple sectors there, but getting some traffic. But great to see also Smolin on the front row as well for his car. Well, pole for him as well, so really good for the team.
So the car's obviously quick in qualifying trim. Where are you concerned against the Mustangs in race trim?
Yeah, I think we're just going to have to try and pull ahead. We obviously haven't got the straight line of them, but the cornering performance was really good. Obviously staying out there a little bit longer too, then getting to push it a little bit, got to get a read of how the car sort of fell off with the tyre, so just tune it up to that, but was able to just tune it up with the brake bias as well.
Mate, how good to see the Gagan name at the top of the charts as well. Well done, Max Gagan, pole for the silver class. Shane Smolin, our AM class pole man. I'll let you get your helmet off. We'll get you one of these beautiful Pirelli pole hats as well. Always good when you've got the number 1 on the side. Oh, no. All right. We may just do a chat with this, hey? Look at this. I'll put that on your head there, so we make sure we got it there. Shane Smolin, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks very much. It was a bit of a sketchy session, to be honest. Great to still get a good P at the end. We'll start nice and close to the front, which is great. Bit of an issue with comms and in-car data, but anyway, got the job done.
And, mate, I hope that helmet comes off before, give you a bit of a breathing space before the next one.
Head's a bit swollen after pole, you see.
All right, mate, congratulations, well done. That's our AM class pole sitter. Hold on, where is he? Ryan Hansford. He's already got the hat on. He's making my job easy, mate. Let's get the sponsors on the car. This is what we do. When you put it on pole, you get your moment in the sun. Congratulations, Silver AM pole sitter.
Thank you.
Is that all you got for me? It was a good session, mate.
It was good. I didn't beat my partner, though, so I don't think. But it's good. No, it's good. Yeah, very happy to take pole in the bronze category, so awesome. Multi-spez Mustang's doing awesome. It's really fun to drive. Very different to the Tirana. Yeah, completely different. Heaps more grip, so a lot of fun.
This is a very serious Ryan Hansford at the moment. We've done a number of interviews over the years when you've been in different categories. You're normally coming out. There's something a bit serious about you today. Do you feel like you didn't deliver on what you could have? You're standing on pole, by the way.
Yeah, I know. No, mate, I think I did. No, I did my best, I think. I didn't make any mistakes. It's just getting the most out of these cars, I think. Different ways of driving them, so I'm not unhappy. Yeah, you know.
Mate, well done. GT4's a great category. You did a great job.
Cool cars, great category. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Well done.
Thanks, mate.
Good work, Cam. He's a man of few words, is Ryan. Great qualifying session. Cool to see a Gagan on pole in Queensland as well. A break from Queensland Raceway and EVENTelec GT Festival Queensland. Much more to come, including some sports sedan racing. Stick around.